Rain pelted the asphalt like a drum line, tapping a frantic rhythm over the sleepy California town. Marcus Hale eased his motorcycle to a stop outside the small, brick-walled police station. Steam curled from the exhaust, mixing with fog that rolled off the nearby mountains. He shut off the engine, the silence almost deafening. In the sidecar, his 8-year-old daughter, Lily, shifted slightly, her small frame trembling from more than the cold. Her legs had been stiff and uncooperative since the accident. Doctors called it permanent, a cruel verdict that Marcus refused to accept. Lily clutched a frayed stuffed dog, the seams worn thin, its button eyes staring blankly ahead. She smiled at Marcus anyway, the corners of her lips trembling but determined. "Is it time, Daddy?" she whispered, her voice small yet unwavering. Marcus exhaled through his nose, trying to steady the tight knot in his chest. The world had grown heavier, darker, since that accident. He had lived through gunfire, firefights overseas, but nothing had prepared him for watching his own child trapped in her body, bright and alive, yet limited in ways that tore at him every day. He lifted her carefully from the sidecar, holding her close as he entered the station. The smell of wet asphalt and antiseptic mingled with the faint tang of metal from police vehicles parked just inside. Officers glanced up as they passed, nodding politely. They knew Marcus, not just as a local veteran and biker, but as Lily's fiercely protective father. Inside, a small group of children had gathered for a K-9 demonstration. Laughter mingled with nervous energy. One boy tried to reach for a golden retriever, but the dog's handler pulled him back with a firm, apologetic hand. Lily's eyes wandered to the cage at the far side of the room, her gaze locking on the massive German shepherd standing inside it. Rex. Rex wasn't just any K-9. He was a dog with a reputation, agile, disciplined, and known for his unpredictable instincts. His amber eyes tracked every movement, ears twitching at the smallest sound. Children whispered when he growled softly at an approaching officer, but Lily didn't flinch. She had always sensed things differently. The handler opened the cage, calling Rex by name. The dog padded out silently, fur slicked from rain, muscles rippling under taut skin. Lily's breath caught in her throat. Marcus noticed her grip on the stuffed dog tighten. Rex stopped abruptly, ignoring the handler's commands. Every child in the room froze. He walked deliberately toward Lily, his paws silent against the wet floor. Marcus felt a sudden chill run down his spine. The entire room fell silent. When Rex reached her, he lowered his massive head, letting Lily's tiny hands rest on his muzzle. She giggled softly, a sound that was almost foreign to her father, and patted the dog's fur. Something in that moment shifted. The air seemed to thrum with possibility, a quiet electricity that prickled Marcus' skin. The handler stepped forward, apologetic, unsure why Rex had abandoned commands. "He's never done this before," he muttered, voice low. Marcus ignored him. Lily's eyes shone brighter than any fluorescent light overhead. She whispered, "Hello, Rex," as though greeting an old friend. Marcus felt the weight of silence pressing down. Officers exchanged nervous glances. "Is this normal?" one of them asked. No one had an answer. Then, incredibly, Lily tried to move her legs, just slightly. A flicker of hope, almost imperceptible, but Marcus saw it. He held his breath, heart hammering. Rex lowered himself even closer, bracing Lily with his massive shoulder. The dog's steady presence seemed to support her, and for a few seconds time itself slowed. Children stared, jaws slack. Some murmured that it was a trick, an illusion. Marcus knew it was. He had lived through enough to recognize raw, unfiltered miracles when they brushed against him, unannounced, unapologetic. Lily attempted another movement. Her knee wobbled but didn't collapse entirely. A spark of determination lit her face. Rex leaned in, pressing his body beneath hers, grounding her. The room's tension thickened. Then, just as the moment seemed fragile, the air shifted. A sudden commotion outside, the screech of tires on wet pavement, startled the children. Rex's ears shot upright, body tensing as if sensing something far beyond human perception. Marcus spun toward the window, but the blur of headlights and shadow left him unsure what had passed. Inside, Rex didn't budge. His eyes never left Lily. Her small hand trembled against his fur, but her other hand clenched the edge of the wheelchair. Marcus swallowed hard, feeling the invisible tether between child and dog pull taut. The room was frozen, breaths caught, as though waiting for something impossible to declare itself. The police chief stepped forward slowly, unsure whether to intervene. "Should we?" he began, but stopped. The words died on his lips. None of the adults moved. The moment was sacred, delicate, unexplainable. Lily whispered again, a single word this time. It was soft, almost lost in the low hum of fluorescent lights. "Walk." The word hung in the air, impossible, daring. Marcus felt tears sting his eyes. Every instinct screamed that it couldn't happen, but he also knew that sometimes miracles defy reason entirely. Rex nudged her knee gently. Lily's legs shivered under the weight of expectation. Marcus's pulse raced as he watched her lift herself slightly. Not fully, not enough to stand alone, but enough that everyone realized the impossible might be within reach. The handler tried to recall Rex, voice urgent now. "Come on, Rex, let's go." But Rex ignored him. His focus, unwavering, was entirely on Lily. The air in the room thickened with tension. A low growl escaped the dog's throat, almost protective, almost warning. Every adult present felt it. Rex was no longer just a police dog on duty. He was a guardian, a partner in something neither human nor animal fully understood. Marcus stepped closer, heart pounding, torn between fear and awe. "Careful," he murmured, more to himself than anyone else. Lily's eyes met his, filled with courage and anticipation, her small mouth forming a determined line. Another movement, her legs bent slightly at the knees. It wasn't much, but for the first time in over a year Marcus believed, just believed. Outside, the sound of approaching sirens grew louder, a strange juxtaposition to the miracle happening inside the small station. Someone, somewhere, was arriving, but for what? For help, for trouble. The sound gnawed at the edges of Marcus's newfound hope. Rex pressed closer, body firm, grounding Lily against gravity and fear. Her hands gripped his fur tighter. The stuffed dog in her lap fell unnoticed to the ground, forgotten in the wake of something far greater. Then, as the tension reached a nearly unbearable pitch, a shadow fell across the doorway. The room froze again. Marcus instinctively stepped between Lily and whatever threat loomed. And that's when the unthinkable happened. Rex lifted his head, teeth bared in a protective snarl, staring directly at the figure in the doorway. The lights flickered. The room's air crackled with anticipation. Everyone knew this moment, delicate and miraculous, was far from over. Marcus's heart hammered. Lily clutched Rex's fur as if her life depended on it. And maybe it did. The figure in the doorway paused, and the storm outside mirrored the storm inside, raining tension and uncertainty over every person in the room. Marcus didn't know what would happen next, but one thing was certain. Life as he knew it, everything he thought he understood, had just shifted forever. And somewhere deep in the tension of that second, Marcus realized the miracle was only beginning. The shadow in the doorway didn't move, but Marcus could feel its weight pressing into the room like a physical force. Rex growled low, a rumble vibrating from his massive chest, yet Lily stayed calm, her small hand gripping the dog's fur as if drawing courage from him. The figure stepped forward, a man in a long raincoat, hood dripping, eyes hidden in shadow. Everyone instinctively froze. "Marcus Hale," the stranger said, voice deep, smooth, with an edge that sent shivers down his spine. "I've heard about your little miracle here." Marcus instinctively put himself between Lily and the stranger. "Who the hell are you?" he demanded, voice shaking despite himself. The man chuckled softly. "Let's just say I'm interested in Rex, and in your daughter." His words were casual, but his eyes glimmered with something dangerous, something Marcus had learned to recognize from his military days. calculation, patience, and the hint of threat. Rex stiffened, tail low, hackles raised. Lily's small frame leaned into the dog, instinctively trusting him more than any adult in the room. She whispered, "Rex, be careful." Marcus's throat tightened. "Careful, who the hell are you?" The stranger didn't answer directly. Instead, he glanced at the video cameras, the smartphones recording the scene, the astonished children, the frozen officers. "I see everyone's watching," he said. "Good, let's make this simple." Marcus tightened his jaw. He had faced enemies in war, but none had ever threatened his child in such a quiet, cold way. "You step 1 foot closer," he said, voice low and lethal, "and you'll regret it." Rex growled louder, a low, deep warning that echoed in the tile walls of the station. The dog's eyes never left the stranger, muscles coiled like springs ready to strike. The tension was palpable, each heartbeat seemed to echo in the silence. "Good boy," Marcus murmured, pride mixing with fear. But inside, he knew this was only the beginning. Whoever this man was, he had come for a reason, and Marcus had a sinking feeling it wasn't kindness. Then, in a motion too fast for the eye, the stranger reached into his coat. Marcus moved instinctively, stepping forward, but Rex was faster. The dog lunged, teeth bared, a blur of fur and muscle that collided with the stranger before he could pull out whatever he held. The impact sent both crashing backward. The room erupted into chaos. Officers shouted, children screamed, and Lily's wheelchair tipped over, but Rex held her steady, his massive body shielding her like an armored wall. Marcus felt a surge of awe and terror as he watched his daughter, calm amid the storm, protected by the dog. The stranger rolled to his feet, a smirk playing across his lips despite the scrape on his coat. "Impressive," he said, "but he won't always be there. She won't always be protected." His words were a threat wrapped in admiration, and every adult in the room felt it. Marcus gritted his teeth, fists trembling with rage. "I don't care who you are, stay away from my daughter, or you'll regret it." The man's smirk widened. "Ah, but that's the problem, isn't it? Everyone wants a miracle until it comes with consequences." He took another step back, slipping into the shadows near the doorway. "Consider this a warning." Before anyone could react, he turned and disappeared into the night, the rain swallowing his figure. The silence that followed was deafening, punctuated only by the sound of children sobbing softly, officers whispering, and Rex panting as he stood protectively over Lily. Marcus sank to his knees beside her, holding her close. "Are you okay, baby?" he asked, voice breaking. Lily nodded, her eyes wide but unafraid. "I'm okay, Daddy," she whispered. "Rex kept me safe." Marcus swallowed hard, heart pounding. The miracle had happened, the dog had kept her safe, but the warning had left a cold shadow in its wake. He knew this wasn't the end. Whoever that man was, he would return, and next time the stakes could be far higher. Hours later, after the children had been sent home and the station had quieted, Marcus and Rex sat together in the empty garage. Lily slept in his arms, exhausted but smiling in her dreams. Marcus ran a hand over Rex's thick fur. "You did good, buddy," he murmured, voice tight with emotion. "Better than anyone could imagine." Rex leaned into him, head resting against his chest, eyes alert. Marcus felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on him like never before. He knew that this bond between dog and daughter was fragile and precious, but it had also painted a target on their backs. The next morning, the local news exploded with the story. Videos of Rex helping Lily walk had gone viral overnight. Social media feeds were flooded with awe and praise. "Miracle Dog Saves Disabled Girl" ran headlines. Offers poured in from charitable organizations, from TV producers, from wealthy strangers eager to fund her rehabilitation. But along with the attention came scrutiny. Letters from lawyers, tips from strangers, even threats from anonymous sources reached Marcus's phone. And then came the call from Internal Affairs, questioning Rex's behavior during duty hours. A threat of reassignment, suspension, or even retirement hung over the dog like a storm cloud. Marcus felt fury rising, but more importantly, he felt fear. Not for himself, not for the attention, but for Lily. The thought that Rex, the one constant in her life, might be taken away left him cold. He imagined her small hands reaching for the dog, searching for comfort that might no longer be there. Meanwhile, Rex refused to eat. He paced, whining softly whenever someone approached his kennel. The handlers exchanged worried glances. He had been trained as a therapy dog before being reassigned to patrol duty, a past none wanted to discuss openly. But Marcus suspected the truth. Rex sensed the danger, and he also sensed Lily's fragile hope. The bond had become more than training, more than instinct. It was trust, pure and unbreakable, and that trust was now threatened. Marcus made a decision. He would not let bureaucracy, fear, or rules dictate what was right for his daughter. He would protect her. He would protect Rex, and if the world wanted to challenge them, he would meet it head-on. That night he stayed up beside Lily's bed, listening as she whispered dreams of walking unaided, of running in the park, of having Rex by her side for every step. Her small words, full of hope and faith, ignited something in Marcus, a determination that would not be denied. Somewhere in the shadows outside the city, the stranger watched. His presence had left an invisible mark, a promise that the next encounter would not be just words, not just threats. Marcus didn't yet know the man's motives, but he could feel them pressing closer with each passing hour. The miracle had arrived, but so had danger. And Rex, lying beside Lily's bed, ears twitching at the slightest sound, seemed to understand it too. The dog's amber eyes reflected the lamplight, steady, unwavering, ready. The bond had been forged under fire, and it would be tested soon. Marcus finally leaned back in his chair, staring at the rain dripping down the window. He knew the coming days would demand everything: courage, sacrifice, and faith that the unexplainable could survive the human world's cruelty. For now, he allowed himself one quiet breath. Tomorrow, he knew, would change everything again. And as the storm outside raged, a soft, almost imperceptible growl echoed from Rex's chest. A warning, a promise, a herald of the chaos and miracle that would collide in the days ahead. No one in that room, no one in that town, would ever see a story like this again. But Marcus had a front row seat, and he wasn't about to look away. The next morning, the sun struggled through heavy clouds, the aftermath of last night's storm leaving the streets slick and reflective. Marcus Hale's mind raced as he drove through town, Lily in the passenger seat, wrapped in a blanket and gripping Rex's leash tightly. The viral video had made them local celebrities overnight. Everywhere they went, people stopped to point, whisper, and in some cases, stare in awe. Marcus didn't mind the attention, but he hated the whispers that implied Lily's progress was some kind of spectacle, rather than the product of courage, grit, and Rex's unwavering presence. At home, Lily crawled from the sidecar to her wheelchair, smiling at Rex, who followed her like a shadow. The dog seemed almost human in his understanding, his amber eyes flicking between Marcus and Lily, reading the tension in the room, sensing every hidden threat. Marcus watched his daughter laugh, the sound like fragile music in a world still filled with storms. Her giggles, tentative but joyful, were tempered by a nervous glance out the window, memories of the shadowed stranger lingering. "Daddy," Lily whispered, "do you think he's coming back?" Her small voice, tinged with fear, cut through Marcus like a knife. Marcus swallowed, unsure how to answer. He wanted to protect her from the truth, that sometimes miracles come at a price and sometimes danger follows them relentlessly. He forced a smile. "We're safe here, baby. Rex and I've got you. No one's touching you." Rex nudged Lily's knee, his steady presence reinforcing the promise Marcus had made. The dog's instincts had never been more alive. Marcus had always known Rex was special, but the bond he witnessed between his daughter and the dog now seemed almost sacred. It was as if Rex understood what words could not express, that Lily's body and spirit were fragile, that the miracle unfolding required unwavering guardianship, and that anyone threatening it would answer to him first. By noon, doctors arrived for a scheduled therapy session. Lily's legs were stiff, uncooperative, but the moment she saw Rex, something shifted. The dog sat patiently as she attempted to take a step, gently leaning against her to provide balance. For Marcus, watching this was like witnessing magic, her movements small but deliberate, each step building confidence. He could see the determination in her eyes, the spark of hope that had eluded her for months. Yet even in this moment of triumph, tension lingered. Every knock at the door, every passing shadow outside the window made Marcus's muscles tense. He couldn't shake the memory of the stranger in the doorway, his warning echoing in Marcus's mind. She won't always be protected. Hours later, as the therapy session ended, a courier arrived with a thick envelope, sealed with official markings. Marcus hesitated, recognizing the symbol of internal affairs. He opened it slowly, scanning the contents. His stomach turned. The letter outlined an investigation into Rex's behavior during duty hours. Potential consequences included reassignment, suspension, or even retirement. Marcus felt a surge of fury mixed with helplessness. He glanced at Lily, now giggling as she tried to climb onto Rex's back for support. "Not happening," Marcus muttered under his breath. The idea that Rex could be taken away, the one constant in Lily's life, made his chest tighten painfully. He had faced enemy fire overseas and walked away with scars, but this felt unbearable. That night Marcus stayed by Lily's side as she slept. Rex lay beside her bed, ears twitching at every small sound, the creak of the floor, the whisper of wind against the window. Marcus watched them, heart heavy, realizing the miracle that had occurred was both fragile and defiant. The bond between daughter and dog had become something the world couldn't comprehend, a shield against both physical and emotional threats. Suddenly, a soft growl broke the quiet. Rex's body tensed, muscles rippling under his fur. Marcus held his breath, following the dog's gaze to the window. Outside, a shadow moved just beyond the reach of the porch light. A figure lingered in the rain-soaked darkness, watching, waiting. Marcus's heart sank. It was him, the stranger from the station. Marcus grabbed a flashlight, aiming it at the figure. The light caught a glimpse of his coat, hood, and the glint of something metallic. The stranger vanished before Marcus could react. He exhaled slowly, trying to steady himself, but the sense of danger lingered like a storm cloud. He knew this wasn't over. The warning had been real, and it would come again. The following days were a blur. Marcus juggled therapy sessions, media attention, and mounting pressure from internal affairs. Every time he stepped outside, he felt eyes on him. Every call from the department felt like a threat. Rex, meanwhile, refused to eat alone, following Lily everywhere she went, never leaving her side. He had become her guardian, her constant companion, and Marcus realized that losing him was not an option. One afternoon, while Marcus and Lily practiced walking in the yard, Rex suddenly stiffened, ears erect. He darted toward the fence line, growling low. Marcus followed, heart pounding. A black van idled at the end of the street, windows tinted, engine humming softly. Marcus instinctively pulled Lily back, keeping her behind Rex. The van's doors opened and a man stepped out, different from the stranger at the station, but equally menacing. Marcus's pulse quickened. He didn't recognize the man, but he knew instinctively danger had arrived. He glanced at Rex, whose eyes burned with protective focus. Lily, sensing the tension, clutched the dog's fur tighter. Marcus felt a mix of fear and determination settle in his chest. This was no longer just about a miracle. It was about survival, about defending the fragile hope that had been so hard-won. The man raised his hand slowly, a faint smile playing on his lips. "Marcus Hale," he said, voice calm yet dangerous. "We need to talk about your dog and your daughter." Marcus tightened his jaw. "Back off. You don't know what you're dealing with." The man chuckled. "Oh, I know exactly what I'm dealing with, and I know what she represents." He gestured vaguely toward Lily, who sat trembling but resolute in her wheelchair. "Power, hope, and opportunity." Rex growled, teeth bared, ears low. Lily whispered, "Daddy, he's dangerous." Marcus nodded, gripping the leash. "I know, baby, I know." The man's smirk widened. He took a step forward, then paused, glancing at Rex. "Ah, I see why everyone's talking about him, but a dog, as loyal as he is, can't protect forever. There are always limits, and someone always finds a way." Rex barked sharply, a sound that made the man freeze in place. Marcus felt a surge of pride. His daughter's miracle wasn't just luck. It was loyalty, courage, and instinct all wrapped into one incredible being. But the man's next words froze Marcus in place. "Don't worry," he said softly. "We'll be back." Then, just like that, he turned and disappeared down the street, swallowed by shadows and rain. Marcus sank to his knees, gripping Lily tightly. "I promise, baby," he whispered. "No one's taking him from you. Not now, not ever." Lily leaned into Rex, tears mingling with the rain on the porch. "I knew he'd protect me," she said quietly, "but I didn't know it would feel like this. Like magic." Marcus smiled, though fear gnawed at the edges of his heart. He knew that magic was fragile, and the world had already started to test it. Every step Lily took, every moment she laughed or tried to walk, was now a defiance against forces that didn't understand miracles. Later that night, Marcus reviewed the security footage from their home. The stranger had been there, subtle and deliberate, watching, waiting. Every camera angle confirmed it. Marcus clenched his fists. Whoever this was, they weren't going to stop. And now Marcus understood fully. Protecting Lily and Rex was no longer just a personal battle. It was a fight against someone who would come for them, no matter the cost. And Rex, sensing the danger and the resolve in Marcus's voice, rested his head against Lily's knees. His amber eyes reflected not just loyalty, but understanding. He was ready. Whatever came next, he would protect her. Always. Marcus looked out the window at the rain-slicked streets, heart pounding. The miracle had happened, yes. Lily had taken her first steps, her hope renewed. But outside, in the shadows, the world had already begun to close in. And Marcus knew, deep down, that the next test would demand everything. Courage, sacrifice, and the kind of strength that only a father, a daughter, and a dog could summon together. The storm had passed, but the danger had only just begun. The morning sun barely pierced the heavy clouds over the small California town, leaving streets glistening wet from the relentless storm that had passed. Marcus Hale stared at the endless stream of messages on his phone, news alerts, emails, social media notifications, and at least a dozen calls from reporters. The video of Rex helping Lily stand had gone viral beyond anything Marcus had imagined. Headlines blared: "Miracle K9 helps disabled girl walk," "Police dog saves young life," "Faith, hope, and a dog named Rex." Marcus ran a hand over his face. The attention was overwhelming and dangerous. The letters from Internal Affairs were the first indication that the world didn't care about miracles. Their words were bureaucratic, cold, and uncompromising. Rex's behavior during duty hours must be investigated. Any deviation from protocol could lead to reassignment, or worse, permanent retirement. The thought of someone taking Rex from Lily made Marcus's chest tighten, a pain he hadn't felt since deployment. The bond wasn't just emotional. It was lifeline-level essential for his daughter's progress. Without Rex, the hope Lily had fought so hard to reclaim might crumble. And as if the bureaucrats weren't enough, there were the shadows lurking outside. The stranger from the station hadn't returned, but he was watching, waiting. Marcus knew that by now. That afternoon, the therapy session resumed. Lily's wheelchair was positioned in the yard under a temporary canopy, droplets from earlier rain still clinging to the canvas above. Rex sat beside her, alert and poised, his amber eyes scanning the perimeter with the precision of a seasoned soldier. Marcus held Lily's hand as she gripped Rex's fur with her other hand, preparing to take steps she had barely dared attempt before. The neighbors had gathered subtly, some peeking from behind curtains, drawn by the viral story. Marcus ignored them. His focus was on Lily and Rex. "Ready, baby?" he asked, his voice a mix of encouragement and unspoken worry. Lily nodded, ready. Slowly she rose, knees wobbling. Rex shifted, pressing his body against hers, anchoring her balance. For a moment the world paused. The soft hum of the town, the distant rumble of traffic, the whispers of neighbors, all fell away. And then a shout. Marcus's head snapped toward the street. A black van idled at the corner, windows tinted. The engine was silent, but the presence of the vehicle radiated menace. Marcus stiffened. He knew without a doubt, the stranger from the night at the station wasn't alone. Someone else was here, observing, calculating. Rex growled low, a deep, vibrating warning. Lily froze mid-step, eyes wide, gripping the dog tightly. Marcus stepped closer, shielding her with his body. From the van, a man in a dark coat stepped out slowly, hands raised in mock peace. Marcus didn't flinch. The man's eyes glimmered with cold intent. "Marcus Hale," he said softly, voice carrying across the wet street, "your miracle has attracted more attention than you realize." "Stay away," Marcus growled, fists clenched, "or you'll regret it." The man's lips curved into a thin smile. "I like your conviction, but miracles, they can't always protect themselves. Some things, some opportunities must be claimed." Marcus's stomach churned. He had fought enemies overseas who threatened his life. He had never faced someone who threatened hope itself. The man stepped closer. Rex's growl deepened, body tense like a spring, ready to pounce. Lily clung tighter, whispering, "Daddy, he's bad." "I know, baby," Marcus said softly, heart hammering. "I know." Suddenly the man pulled something from his coat, small, metallic, quick. Marcus lunged, but Rex was faster. The dog barreled forward, intercepting the threat, forcing the man back. The crowd gasped. Lily stumbled but was caught instantly by Rex's massive frame. The van's engine roared to life, tires spinning on wet asphalt. The man scrambled back into the vehicle and the van sped away, disappearing into the distant haze. Marcus exhaled sharply, heart still hammering. Lily leaned against Rex, face pale but determined. "He won't stop, will he?" she asked softly. Marcus shook his head. "No, and we have to be ready always." That night Marcus couldn't sleep. He reviewed the internal affairs letter again, thinking about Rex, Lily, and the growing threat outside. He knew the bureaucracy would eventually force a choice: comply with protocol and risk breaking Lily's progress, or defy the system and face consequences. The thought of losing Rex made Marcus furious. He had faced death countless times, yet the idea of failing Lily, of letting her miracle slip away because of rules and red tape, felt like 1,000 knives. He clenched his fists, determination hardening in his chest. Meanwhile, Rex refused to leave Lily's side. He lay on the floor beside her bed, ears flicking at every noise, the creak of the house settling, the rustle of leaves outside, the distant howl of the wind. Marcus realized the dog understood something vital. The threat was real, and the miracle depended on constant vigilance. The following morning, news crews camped outside Marcus's home. Reporters clamored for interviews, asking how Rex had performed the miracle. Marcus ignored them, focusing on Lily's therapy. She took tentative steps with Rex beside her, steady as ever, her determination shining brighter than the storm clouds outside. But the attention brought more than admiration. Letters from strangers demanding access to Rex, offers to buy the dog, and veiled threats arrived daily. Marcus's mailbox was overflowing with envelopes, and his phone never stopped buzzing. One particular email chilled him. A single line, no signature, no return address. "You can't hide miracles forever." Marcus showed it to Rex, who responded by growling, ears forward, tail stiff. Marcus felt a shiver run down his spine. The dog's instincts had never failed. Days passed. Lily's progress continued, though slowly. Rex remained vigilant, never leaving her side, ever alert to the world's potential dangers. Marcus trained with him nightly, reinforcing commands, ensuring that the dog's protective instincts would be ready for anything. Then came the knock at the door. Marcus tensed, every nerve on edge. Through the peephole, he saw the uniform of the local police. Internal affairs, perhaps, or someone else sent to enforce rules he couldn't control. He opened the door cautiously. The officer handed him a notice. Rex was to be temporarily reassigned for evaluation. Marcus's heart stopped. Temporary. That word alone felt like a guillotine hovering over Lily's miracle. "No," Marcus whispered, shaking his head. "Not happening. She can't do this without him." The officer looked sympathetic but firm. "Sir, it's protocol. There's nothing I can do." Marcus clenched the leash in his hand, eyes darting toward Rex, who sat, head cocked, amber eyes watching him intently. The dog seemed to sense the gravity of the situation, a silent understanding passing between them. "I don't care about your protocol," Marcus said, voice steady despite the fire inside. "She's my daughter. That dog is her miracle. If anyone takes him, there will be consequences." The officer hesitated, recognizing Marcus's resolve, but he could do nothing. The paperwork was already processed. That night Marcus sat by Lily's bed, Rex lying at her feet. He held her hand tightly as she drifted to sleep. The storm outside mirrored the storm in his heart, threats, rules, and shadows all pressing in. But he made a silent vow. No matter what, he would protect this miracle, even if it meant defying every authority, risking everything he had left. Rex shifted closer to Lily, resting his head on her lap. Amber eyes reflected the lamplight, unwavering, resolute. Marcus realized that miracles weren't just moments, they were commitments, and some commitments demanded courage beyond measure. As he drifted into a restless sleep, Marcus couldn't shake the feeling that tomorrow would bring more than news crews or bureaucrats. Someone, or something, was coming for them. And this time it wouldn't be a warning, it would be action. But Marcus, holding Lily's hand and feeling Rex's steady presence, knew one truth: miracles were worth fighting for. The storm was over, but the real battle was just beginning. The following morning the rain had finally stopped, leaving the streets gleaming under a pale, washed-out sun. Marcus Hale rode his motorcycle to the station, Lily safely strapped into the sidecar, Rex sitting alert between them. His jaw was tight, knuckles white on the handlebars. Every muscle in his body screamed with the same message. He could not, would not, allow anyone to take Rex from Lily. Not for protocol, not for law, not for the world. Inside the station, the air smelled of wet leather and antiseptic. Officers gave him wary glances. Some knew Marcus from his military days, others from his local reputation as a biker who wouldn't back down. He didn't answer their polite nods. He had a mission now, and it wasn't to follow rules. He approached the chief's office, shoulders squared. "We need to talk," Marcus said, voice low but firm. "About Rex, about my daughter, about the notices. I'm not letting this happen." The chief's face was unreadable, but Marcus could see the tension beneath the surface. Internal affairs had already sent directives. Rules were rules, but Marcus had never been a man who bent to rules when lives were at stake. "You can't just take the dog," Marcus continued, eyes locked on the chief. "She needs him. She won't progress without him, and if anyone thinks I'll allow it, they're wrong." The chief leaned back, sighing. "Marcus, you know I understand, but you also know I'm bound by protocol. I can't authorize this. If Rex stays, you'll face consequences." Marcus's eyes narrowed. "Consequences don't matter. My daughter's life matters. That's non-negotiable." Outside, Rex sat quietly, head cocked, sensing the tension. He was calm, but Marcus could see the muscles under his fur ripple with anticipation, as if the dog understood every nuance of the conversation, every unspoken threat. "I'll take him," Marcus said finally, voice steady. "I'll take responsibility, and if anyone tries to remove him, I'll take care of it myself." The chief shook his head. "You don't understand the implications, legal, departmental, liability." "Implications be damned," Marcus interrupted, stepping closer. "He's not a dog in a kennel. He's a miracle, And if you think the law or your rules mean more than my daughter's life, then maybe you don't deserve to enforce them." The chief stared at him, conflicted. Marcus's defiance wasn't just anger, it was righteous, unwavering, unshakable. For a moment, silence hung, thick and oppressive. Then the chief leaned back, exhaling slowly. "Fine," he said finally. "He stays for now. But mark my words, Marcus, the moment Internal Affairs acts, you'll answer for it." Marcus nodded curtly, already thinking ahead. He didn't need approval to protect his daughter. He needed strategy, vigilance, and trust in Rex. By the time they returned home, the news crews had regrouped outside, cameras flashing, microphones thrust through the rain-soaked yard. Marcus ignored them, focusing on Lily and Rex. She had been practicing walking with Rex's support, her legs wobbly but determined. Marcus's heart ached with pride and fear simultaneously. "Let's try again," he said softly. Lily gripped Rex's fur, stepping cautiously. One step, two. Marcus's chest tightened, not with hope but with sheer terror at how fragile this victory was. Outside, he could feel the eyes of the world watching, waiting. Suddenly, a black van rolled slowly past the property line, engine humming. Marcus stiffened. He knew that vehicle, its tinted windows, the quiet menace it carried. The stranger had returned, or perhaps someone even worse. Rex growled low, eyes sharp, muscles tensed. Lily froze mid-step, small hands gripping the dog as if she could fuse with him for protection. Marcus's mind raced. He could not let them touch Lily. He would fight if he had to, but he needed a plan. The van idled, a figure watching him through the glass. Then, without warning, it sped off. Marcus exhaled, letting tension drain briefly. But he knew this was temporary. The threat had only escalated. That evening, Marcus sat with Lily at the kitchen table. She was tired but smiling, unaware of the shadow that lingered. "Daddy," she said softly, "Rex is my friend, right?" "He's more than that, baby," Marcus replied, voice trembling. "He's your protector, your miracle, and I promise no one's taking him." Lily's small hand squeezed Rex's fur. The dog rested his head on her lap, eyes alert, ears twitching at every distant sound. Marcus realized the bond wasn't just emotional. Rex could sense threats, read the environment, and respond instinctively. The miracle wasn't just Lily walking, it was the combination of courage, trust, and loyalty between them. Later that night, Marcus reviewed the messages and emails piling up. Reporters wanting interviews, strangers offering money, internal affairs directives, and subtle threats from anonymous sources. He knew someone was orchestrating this, testing boundaries, waiting for an opening. Rex's growl broke the silence, low and urgent. Marcus looked up. The dog's body was rigid, staring at the front door. Marcus's stomach tightened. He moved slowly toward the entrance, peeking through the window blinds. There was nothing, just the quiet street, but instinct told him danger lingered, invisible but close. He returned to Lily's room, checking the locks, securing the windows, and placing Rex beside her bed. The dog rested his head on her knees, eyes flicking toward every shadow, every creak, every sound. Marcus understood something vital. Rex wasn't just guarding her physically. He was guarding her hope, her faith, the fragile miracle she had achieved. Hours later, a knock at the door jolted him upright. Marcus approached cautiously, hand on the weapon at his hip. Through the peephole, he saw a familiar figure, someone in an internal affairs uniform. Marcus's heart raced. He opened the door slowly. "Marcus Hale," the officer said, voice neutral. "We need to discuss Rex's reassignment. There are concerns about protocol violations." Marcus's jaw tightened. Rex isn't being reassigned. Not now, not ever. She needs him. And if you try, there will be consequences. The officer's face was impassive, but Marcus could see hesitation flicker in his eyes. The rules were the rules, but the miracle was human, emotional, impossible to quantify. Marcus stepped aside, allowing the officer inside. "Talk," he said. "But understand, no one takes him while I'm here." The officer nodded slowly, realizing Marcus's resolve was absolute. They discussed logistics, threats, and protocol for hours. Marcus explained Lily's condition, her progress, and the unbreakable bond with Rex. Slowly, begrudgingly, the officer left, acknowledging, silently, that Marcus's priorities superseded paperwork. After the door closed, Marcus sank to the floor beside Lily's bed. Rex rested his head on her lap, alert but calm. Lily smiled sleepily, reaching up to brush his fur. "Thank you, Rex," she whispered, "for everything." Marcus swallowed hard, fighting back tears. He knew this was temporary. The world outside still threatened, and the strangers who had been watching were far from done. But for this night in this quiet room, the miracle remained intact. Outside, the street was empty, the rain having washed away evidence of passing vehicles. But Marcus's instincts screamed that the storm was far from over. He had delayed the threat, yes, but it would return. And when it did, he would need every ounce of courage, strategy, and trust in Rex to keep his daughter safe. Marcus lay awake that night, listening to the rhythmic breathing of Lily and the steady heartbeats of Rex. He realized the truth. Miracles didn't just happen, they had to be defended. And he was ready to fight, no matter the cost. The storm had passed entirely, leaving the streets slick with rain and the scent of wet asphalt lingering in the air. But inside Marcus Hale's home, the tension was heavier than any weather could bring. Marcus sat at the kitchen table, eyes fixed on Rex, who lay alert at Lily's feet. Amber eyes tracked every creak of the house, every shadow, every hint of movement outside. Marcus knew the threats weren't idle. The stranger from the station, the black van, the anonymous emails, they were all signs of someone who would not stop. Someone who saw Lily's miracle not as hope, but as an opportunity to control, manipulate, or exploit. Lily, oblivious to the full gravity, crawled from her wheelchair to Rex's side, gripping his fur. "Daddy, do you think they'll come tonight?" she asked softly. Her small voice carried a mixture of fear and courage, the same courage that had allowed her to take her first steps with Rex. Marcus crouched beside her, pressing his forehead against hers. "I don't know, baby, but we're ready. Rex and we've got you, no matter what." Rex shifted, pressing his body against Lily protectively. He was more than a dog. He was her anchor, her shield, the living embodiment of every step she had taken toward hope. Marcus had always known Rex was extraordinary, but this bond now felt sacred, unbreakable. Night fell, dark and heavy, the shadows long and concealing. Marcus checked the locks, secured the windows, and positioned Rex near the front door. Every creak, every whisper of wind made his chest tighten. The world outside had become unpredictable, dangerous, and Marcus felt the weight of responsibility pressing down harder than ever. Hours passed. The house was quiet. Lily slept, exhausted from her therapy and emotional highs, and Rex lay alert but calm. Marcus, however, couldn't sleep. He monitored the perimeter, eyes scanning the yard and street beyond. Every shadow seemed suspect. Every distant sound triggered a surge of adrenaline. Then he heard it, a faint crunch of gravel, deliberate, measured. Someone was outside. Marcus froze. Rex's ears twitched, body tensing like a coiled spring. Marcus crept to the window, peering into the darkness. A figure moved near the fence line, someone slim, dressed in black, hooded, familiar in menace. Rex growled low, a sound that vibrated in Marcus's chest. The dog's instincts were flawless. Marcus grabbed his jacket, a sense of determination settling over him. This was no longer a threat he could ignore. This was a test, a confrontation that would determine whether Lily's miracle survived or was snatched away. He moved to Lily's room, lifting her gently from the bed. "We're going outside," he whispered, voice low and urgent. "Rex is coming with us. Stay close, baby." Lily's eyes widened, but she trusted her father. Her hands clutched Rex's fur as Marcus led them toward the back door. The night was cold and damp, and the faint sound of the intruder's movements carried across the wet grass. Marcus's heart pounded. Every instinct screamed caution, yet he could not hesitate. Outside, the yard was a maze of shadows. Marcus crouched behind a bush, Rex at his side, growling low. The figure paused near the fence as if sensing something, then continued, deliberate and calculating. Marcus's pulse surged. Every step the intruder took brought them closer to confrontation. Suddenly, the figure moved too quickly, aiming for the side gate, perhaps to access the house. Rex reacted instantly. With a thunderous bark, he lunged, teeth bared, intercepting the intruder. The man stumbled, caught off guard by the dog's speed and force. Marcus followed, pulling a flashlight from his jacket and shining it on the figure. The intruder froze under the beam. Marcus could now see his face, masked partially but eyes cold and calculating. "Back off," Marcus shouted. "I swear if you take one step closer, you'll regret it." The man laughed softly, almost a whisper. "You think a dog and a girl can stop me?" Rex growled, muscles coiled, ready to strike. Lily, despite her fear, whispered encouragement. "Go, Rex!" Her words, small and trembling, carried the power of hope and determination. The intruder made a sudden move, lunging toward Marcus. In a blur, Rex intercepted again, forcing the man backward with sheer force. The intruder stumbled, hitting the wet ground. Marcus rushed forward, keeping a careful eye on both Lily and Rex. The dog's instincts were flawless. He was a wall of fur and muscle, unwavering in protection. But the intruder wasn't alone. From the shadows, another figure appeared, tall, menacing, carrying something metallic. Marcus's stomach sank. The fight was escalating, and this wasn't going to be a quick confrontation. "Rex!" Marcus shouted, and the dog responded immediately, positioning himself between Lily and the approaching threat. Amber eyes locked on the new figure, growl low, warning clear. Lily clutched the dog, whispering reassurances, her tiny hands shaking but determined. Marcus's mind raced. He knew the intruders had underestimated him. They didn't account for the bond between his daughter and the dog, for the courage that now radiated from both of them. He adjusted his stance, preparing for anything. The first intruder tried to grab Lily's wheelchair, but Rex barked and lunged, teeth snapping inches away from the man's hand. The second intruder hesitated, stunned by the dog's precision and ferocity. Marcus seized the moment, stepping forward, fists ready. Suddenly, headlights flashed across the yard. The neighbors had called the police, drawn by the commotion. The intruders froze, calculating, and then fled into the darkness, disappearing as swiftly as they had come. Marcus sank to his knees, holding Lily tightly. "It's okay, baby," he whispered. "It's over for now." Lily clung to Rex, hugging the dog's thick fur. "Thank you," she whispered, tears mixing with rain that had started to fall again. "Thank you for keeping me safe." Marcus looked down at Rex, whose amber eyes reflected both exhaustion and unwavering loyalty. The dog had not only protected Lily physically, but had preserved the miracle they were all fighting for. Hours later, as they returned inside, Marcus knew the night had changed everything. The threats outside were real, and they weren't finished. But he also knew that miracles didn't exist in isolation. They thrived because of courage, trust, and sacrifice. Lily's first steps, the bond with Rex, the defiance against rules and strangers alike, it was all part of a fragile, extraordinary story. And Marcus had learned something crucial. The miracle was worth every risk, every danger, every sleepless night. As the rain continued to tap on the windows, Marcus sat beside Lily's bed, Rex resting his head on her lap. The storm outside mirrored the storm in his mind, but for the first time, he felt a quiet certainty. Together, they could face whatever came next. Because Rex wasn't just a dog. He was the miracle, the protector, and the heart of every step Lily took. And Marcus vowed, silently but fiercely, that he would fight anyone, anything to keep that miracle alive. The sun rose weakly over the small town, its pale light doing little to chase away the shadows that lingered in Marcus Hale's mind. Last night's confrontation had been a warning, a test. The intruders had fled, but Marcus knew they were coming back. He could feel it in the air, in the tension coiled in Rex's muscles, in Lily's small hands gripping the dog's fur as if drawing courage from him. For the past week, Marcus had transformed their home into a fortress. Windows reinforced, doors double-locked, motion sensors quietly humming. He had stockpiled supplies, learned escape routes, and coordinated with a few trusted friends from his biker network. But the preparations, no matter how extensive, did not ease the gnawing fear in his chest. Lily, despite her exhaustion, insisted on practicing her walking. She was small, determined, and filled with a courage that neither storm nor threat could dim. Every step she took with Rex beside her was a victory, every faltering wobble a testament to the bond between her and the dog who had become her miracle. Marcus watched her with a mixture of awe and anxiety. "Careful, baby," he murmured, "one step at a time." She smiled up at him, then whispered, "Rex won't let me fall." Marcus's throat tightened. She was right. Rex's loyalty had already proven unshakable, but the world beyond their home had not yet shown mercy. Late that night, the wind howled against the house, rattling windows. Marcus couldn't sleep. Rex lay at Lily's side, muscles coiled, eyes flicking toward every shadow. Every sound made Marcus's pulse spike. The creak of the fence, the rustle of leaves, the distant hum of an engine. Then it came, the unmistakable hum of a vehicle approaching. Marcus's heart sank. He moved swiftly to the window, scanning the street. A black van idled just beyond the reach of the streetlight, engine off, shadows hiding its passengers. Marcus crouched, whispering to Rex, "Stay alert. They're here." Rex's growl was low and steady, vibrating through the floor. Lily stirred, sensing the tension. "Daddy, they're outside," she whispered, voice trembling. Marcus nodded, heart hammering. "I know, baby, but we're ready. Rex and we've got you." The van door opened silently and two figures slipped out, moving with deliberate stealth toward the fence. Marcus grabbed a flashlight and quietly pulled on his jacket. "Rex, stay close," he murmured. The dog pressed against him, alert, ready. The first intruder approached the fence, tools in hand, attempting to cut through the lock. Rex lunged instantly, teeth snapping inches from the man's hand. The intruder staggered back, shocked. Marcus moved forward, fists ready, while Lily's small hands clutched Rex's fur. The second intruder appeared from the shadows, carrying a weapon. Marcus's breath caught, his heart pounding. He had faced life-or-death situations before, but this was different. This was his daughter, his miracle, his heart walking outside with him. "Stay back," Marcus shouted, stepping between Lily and the approaching figure. Rex barked, a thunderous sound that echoed across the yard. Amber eyes locked on the intruders, muscles coiled like springs. Every instinct in the dog screamed danger, loyalty, and the unwavering need to protect. The intruders paused, sizing up their opposition. They had underestimated Rex. They had underestimated the bond between the dog and the girl. And now, that miscalculation would cost them. Rex lunged at the second intruder, forcing him back. Marcus grabbed Lily, pulling her behind the dog. The first intruder tried again, reaching for the side gate, but Rex intercepted with precision, knocking him off balance. Lily clutched Rex tightly, whispering encouragement. Marcus's mind raced. He had trained for threats overseas, but nothing had prepared him for this combination of human malice and the need to protect a miracle. He knew the intruders were professionals. They had come prepared, coordinated, and patient. But they had never faced the unwavering bond that now stood between him, his daughter, and Rex. Suddenly, another figure emerged from the van, larger, more imposing than the others. Marcus's pulse surged. The intruders had escalated, bringing reinforcements, perhaps expecting to overwhelm him with numbers. But Marcus had a secret weapon: loyalty, courage, and the miracle that walked beside him. "Rex now," Marcus shouted. The dog responded instantly. He surged forward, teeth bared, every muscle rippling. The first intruder fell to the ground, surprised by the dog's ferocity. The second tried to strike, but Rex intercepted, forcing him back. Chaos erupted in the rain-slicked yard, but Marcus maintained control, guiding Lily behind Rex, keeping her safe. Then came the moment Marcus had feared. The largest intruder advanced, weapon raised. Marcus stepped in front of Lily, fists ready, heart racing. He met the man's eyes, cold, calculating, merciless. But Marcus wasn't just a father. He was a protector, a fighter, and he had the miracle at his side. Rex lunged, teeth snapping inches from the man's hand. The intruder stumbled, giving Marcus the opening he needed. He struck, driving the man back, forcing him to retreat. The intruders, now disoriented and overwhelmed by the coordinated defense, scrambled back to the van. Marcus watched, chest heaving, as the vehicle sped off into the night. Rain splashed around him, cold and sharp, but he ignored it. He turned to Lily, whose eyes were wide with awe and fear. "Daddy, we did it," she whispered. Marcus knelt beside her, pressing her small hands to his chest. "We did it together, baby," he said, voice thick with emotion. "You, me, and Rex, always together." Rex shifted, pressing his body against Lily, amber eyes still scanning the dark street. The dog had not just protected her physically. He had defended hope, courage, and the fragile miracle that had begun weeks ago. Hours later, the authorities arrived, responding to reports from neighbors who had witnessed the commotion. Marcus explained everything: the intruders, the threats, Rex's actions, and the stakes for Lily. The officers were awed, some skeptical, but all recognized the truth. Rex was more than a police dog. He was a guardian, a miracle, and the bond he shared with Lily was extraordinary. Back inside the house, Marcus secured the doors, double-checked the windows, and finally allowed himself to breathe. Lily lay in bed, exhausted but smiling, Rex at her side. Marcus pressed his forehead against hers. "You're safe, baby, I promise." She hugged Rex tightly, whispering, "Thank you for keeping me safe, Daddy. And you too, Rex." Marcus smiled, though exhaustion threatened to overwhelm him. He knew the battle wasn't over. The strangers outside hadn't been ordinary criminals. They were organized, patient, relentless. They would return, testing the boundaries of courage and hope. But Marcus also knew this. They had underestimated the power of a bond forged in love, courage, and trust. The miracle wasn't just Lily walking. It was the connection that made her strong, the loyalty that made Rex fearless, and the determination that made Marcus unyielding. As the night deepened and rain pattered softly against the windows, Marcus sat beside Lily's bed, holding her hand. Rex rested his head on her lap, eyes alert, ears twitching at every faint sound. Outside, the world waited, shadows gathering, threats looming. But inside, miracles endured. Marcus's hand tightened around Lily's. "No matter what comes, baby, we face it together." And Rex, loyal, protective, unwavering, seemed to nod in agreement. The miracle had survived the storm, but the final test, the one that would determine whether hope triumphed over fear, was still to come. The storm had passed. The intruders had retreated. But Marcus knew deep down that the most dangerous moment was approaching. And when it arrived, it would demand everything they had: courage, loyalty, and the unbreakable bond between a father, his daughter, and a dog who had given them both a miracle. The night was dark, heavier than any Marcus Hale had experienced. The storm had returned, rain lashing against the windows like 1,000 impatient fingers, thunder growling across the sky. Marcus sat at the kitchen table, eyes scanning the street through the blinds. Lily slept in her bed, wrapped in a blanket, Rex lying beside her, ears twitching, muscles coiled like springs. This night felt different, ominous, charged. The intruders wouldn't stay gone. Marcus had prepared. He reinforced every window, every door, set up motion lights and cameras, and memorized every escape route. Yet no preparation could ease the gnawing tension in his chest. His daughter's miracle, weeks in the making, could be shattered in minutes. Hours passed. The rain intensified, drums of water beating against the roof, masking subtle sounds. And then Marcus heard it, a soft, deliberate crunch of gravel at the end of the driveway. His chest tightened. The black van. They had returned. Rex growled low, a deep, vibrating warning that resonated through Marcus's body. Marcus grabbed a flashlight and quietly moved to Lily's room. "Stay behind Rex," he whispered. "We face them together." Lily's small hands gripped the dog's fur, eyes wide but resolute. "I'm not afraid, Daddy," she said. "Rex and I were a team." Marcus's throat tightened. She was right. This was not just about protection, it was about courage, trust, and miracles. Outside, shadows moved with precision. The intruders were professionals, calculating, equipped, and patient. Marcus felt the familiar adrenaline surge, fear, anticipation, and resolve all merging. The first figure slipped toward the fence, attempting to bypass the locks. Rex surged forward with astonishing speed, teeth snapping inches from the intruder's hand. The man stumbled back, surprised by the dog's precision and instinct. Marcus followed, flashlight sweeping across the yard, illuminating wet grass slick with rain. The second figure emerged, larger, armed, advancing with deliberate menace. Marcus's heart raced, every muscle coiled, every nerve screaming. "Stay behind Rex," he shouted. Rex responded instantly, positioning himself between Lily and the approaching threat. Amber eyes locked on the intruder, growl low and menacing, every instinct honed for this exact moment. The intruder lunged, but Rex anticipated every movement, forcing him back. Marcus stepped forward, fists ready, moving with careful precision. Lily clutched Rex, whispering encouragement, her tiny voice steady despite fear. "Go, Rex." Rex lunged again, teeth snapping, forcing the intruder to stumble. The rain splashed around them, creating a chaotic, cinematic scene, water glinting in flashes of light, fur and rain streaked with mud, courage and danger intertwined. Suddenly, a third figure emerged, the largest yet, wielding a heavy weapon. Marcus's pulse surged. The intruders had coordinated, escalating their attack. He knew this could be a fight that demanded everything: skill, courage, and instinct. "Rex now," Marcus shouted. The dog surged forward, intercepting the largest intruder, teeth snapping inches from the man's hands. The intruder reeled back, tripping over wet grass. Marcus lunged, using the opening Rex had created, striking with precise force to push the man further from Lily. The rain pelted down, blurring edges, turning the yard into a battlefield of shadow and sound. Lily screamed, fear and courage mixed in her voice, but she didn't fall. She clutched Rex, leaning into him as if drawing strength from the miracle beside her. Rex growled, a deep, resonating sound that seemed to vibrate through the ground itself. He lunged at the nearest intruder, forcing him back, while Marcus engaged the other, keeping Lily safe in the center of their circle. The battle was chaotic, cinematic, and fast-paced. Marcus fought with the intensity of a man protecting everything he loved. Rex moved with unerring precision, and Lily clung to her miracle, her faith in the dog unwavering. Every second felt stretched, each movement critical, the stakes impossibly high. Then, in a moment of sheer cinematic perfection, the first intruder tried to reach Lily directly. Rex reacted instantly, tackling the man with force that left him sprawled on the wet grass. The man scrambled, but Rex was relentless, growling, snapping, forcing him back toward the van. Marcus grabbed Lily, pulling her away from the chaos, while Rex continued to defend, a whirlwind of fur, teeth, and loyalty. The intruders realized they had underestimated this family, underestimated the bond between the girl and the dog, underestimated the courage of a father who would not yield. Suddenly, headlights flared. Police cars arrived, drawn by alerts from neighbors who had witnessed the van earlier. Marcus heard sirens slicing through the storm, a welcome, powerful presence. The intruders panicked. The first two scrambled for the van, slipping in mud, desperate. Rex barked, relentless, keeping them at bay until the authorities intervened. By the time the officers reached the yard, the intruders were surrounded, disoriented, and outmatched. Marcus's chest heaved as he kept Lily close, watching as the police apprehended the threat. The black van's doors were thrown open. The men were secured, handcuffed, shouting, resisting, but powerless against the law now fully on Marcus's side. Marcus finally allowed himself to breathe, still crouched in the rain, holding Lily against him. "It's over," he whispered, voice trembling with relief and exhaustion. "It's finally over." Lily, shivering but smiling, stroked Rex's fur. "We did it, Daddy. We did it together," she said softly, voice full of awe. Marcus looked down at Rex, amber eyes gleaming, wet fur matted but steadfast. "You did it, boy. You protected her, and you didn't let anything stop the miracle." For the first time in weeks, Marcus felt a surge of peace. The threat had been neutralized, the intruders caught, and Lily's miracle preserved. But more than that, he felt the depth of the bond between daughter and dog, a living testament to courage, love, and faith. Back inside, Marcus dried Lily and wrapped her in blankets, while Rex, exhausted, lay by her side. Marcus poured a cup of coffee, watching the rain begin to ease, the storm finally abating outside as well. The news crews arrived the next day, cameras flashing, questions asked, microphones thrust forward. But Marcus didn't answer their queries with words. He showed them instead. Lily standing, supported by Rex, taking step after step, determination written on her small face. The miracle wasn't a headline, it was alive, breathing, moving before their eyes. Reporters gasped, some cried. "It's unbelievable," one whispered. "A dog protecting her like that." Marcus simply smiled, eyes on his daughter and Rex. He didn't need to explain. The miracle spoke for itself. Weeks later, Lily's mobility continued to improve. Rex remained ever vigilant, never leaving her side. Marcus rebuilt their home, strengthened security, but also allowed life to breathe in again. Laughter returned, tentative at first but genuine. They walked together in the yard, sometimes without assistance, sometimes with Rex supporting her, always together. One quiet evening, Marcus sat on the porch with Lily in his lap, Rex lying at their feet. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in gold and crimson. Lily rested her head against Marcus's chest. "Do you think the bad people will come back?" she asked softly. Marcus hugged her close. "Maybe, but we're ready, and we've got each other, and Rex." Lily smiled, stroking Rex's fur. "I knew he'd protect me," she whispered, "even from the rain and the dark and the scary people." Marcus's eyes glistened with tears. "He will, baby, always." Rex lifted his head, amber eyes reflecting the sunset, ears twitching in quiet vigilance. The miracle wasn't over. It was a living, breathing testament to courage, loyalty, and love. And as long as Marcus, Lily, and Rex were together, nothing could break it. That night, for the first time in what felt like forever, Marcus slept deeply, knowing the storm had passed, not just the rain, but the storm of threats, fear, and uncertainty. Lily dreamed peacefully, wrapped in blankets, the soft rhythm of Rex's breathing at her side. Outside, the world waited, shadows lurking, but inside that home, miracles endured. Marcus had learned a profound truth. Miracles weren't just about what happened. They were about what you protected, fought for, and believed in. And he would fight for this one, for Lily, and for Rex, for as long as it took. The night ended in quiet triumph, the storm finally gone. The father, daughter, and dog, a trio bound by love, courage, and unwavering faith, had survived. And as dawn approached, painting the world with soft light, Marcus whispered to Lily, "We're safe, and we're together. That's all that matters." Lily smiled, her tiny hand resting on Rex's fur. And in that moment, the miracle glowed brighter than any storm, any shadow, or any fear could ever touch.